Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here, and today's shout out goes to T. Johnston. T. Johnston was first to say first in one of my recent videos, and thus wins this shout out, so congratulations. Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here with a review of another neat quadcopter. This is the Eachine Novice 1. The first of the Eachine Novices to come out. I'll be reviewing also the Eachine Novice 2 in the future, but we're going to start with this version here, which is a little whoop. Okay, if you look at it, it is a little tiny whoop. Okay, 75 millimeter whoop, which means 75 millimeters diameter between the motors here. It includes a Runcam Nano 2 camera, which is 700 TV line camera on the front here. That can be tilted up or down. You want to tilt it down flat if you're flying indoors, and if you go outdoors, for speed, you tilt that camera up, and you can do such via these little Phillips screws on each side of the camera. Now, this camera, or the transmitter for this camera, the FPV transmitter for this camera, is 25 to 200 milliwatt switchable video transmitter, 40 channel video transmitter that can be switched via SmartAudio. This micro quadcopter also includes SmartAudio with SmartAudio displays or SmartAudio menus, so you can adjust parameters such as adjusting the power of this FPV camera or what channel it's operating on using your controller alone, which makes that very simple. In the old days you had to press buttons to get to the switch between the different channels and different power levels. That's no longer the case. Now, this also includes on-screen display, so you can view parameters such as battery power. The big ones that I like is battery power and RSSI. You have also relative signal strength indicator display to show how well this drone is receiving the signal from its transmitter. So if you're getting too far away, you can bring the drone back in before losing signal and having this drop to the ground. It includes a Crazybee F4 flight control board on here, loaded up with 4.0.4, dated June 30th, 2019. So it's not too outdated of flight control software on this flight control board. Also, it includes an integrated Frsky D8 receiver on board this flight control board, so it does not have a separate receiver. One thing about this whole setup, I have to back off a second here. This whole setup is meant for intermediate pilots who want to enter into FPV, who have always been wanting to go into FPV, but just hadn't gotten around to buying all the separate gear that's required to usually get into FPV. This system comes with everything you need already bound to the transmitter, already ready to go, including the transmitter and the goggles. Right out of the box, those goggles are set to the same channel as the drone, and the transmitter is bound to the drone, so all you need to do is charge up the batteries and go fly. So this, again, is really ready to fly, with the exception of charging the batteries. One of the things about this, it also has integrated 4-in-1 5 amp, 6 amp max ESCs on board here. That limits us to 1 and 2S batteries. Okay, the ESCs and also the motors are limited to 1S and 2S batteries. Now, one thing that they mention here, they're saying do not change these connectors, the available connectors here, to XT30 connectors if you want to use 2S XT30 battery on this, because that will put too much current into the flight control board and you might damage something on the flight control board. They're saying stick with these particular connectors that you got here. There is some resistance going through these wires here that's going to reduce the amount of current that's going to go into the board. So that's a very important point that is in the instruction manual that I have to mention right here. Now, the motors we got on this are EX1102 KV13500 brushless motors. So for those of you wondering if this is brushed or brushless, it is indeed a brushless aircraft. Now, also, let's talk about the other stuff you get in here. We get a WT8 controller. Now, this controller is for frequency hopping. Hold on, I can't remember what FHSS. Let's just say that frequency hop spread spectrum. That's what the SS stands for. Radios. Okay, but it also works with Frsky D8 radios, like this one here. It's on board here, so you can bind this to Frsky D8 receivers with this particular radio. Now, it is not the most, it is not a hobby grade by any means. It is a beginner's radio for FPV flying, but it is relatively simple to operate. You got an on-off switch here. This is for binding. In case you ever lose bind to the transmitter, you can rebind to the receiver. You can rebind the transmitter to the receiver using this button here, but don't mess with that button. For the most part, you don't need it. Up here is your rates. You can change different rates, 2 and 3rd rate if you're flying in stabilized mode. And this button here is for switching between Acro. It starts off in Acro, folks, so you got to be careful. And switching to stabilized mode and switching to air mode. So this thing is set up out of the box to fly Acro, stabilized, and in air mode. Acro air. Now, with that in mind, I need to mention something I forgot to mention on the drone. If you look on the bottom of this drone, there is a little micro USB port. So you can connect this to Betaflight if you so desire to change the PIDs. I don't recommend it, until you become experienced. But this can be modified if you want to mess around with the PIDs, or if you need to rebind this transmitter. It's very simple. If you connect this to Betaflight and type in the words bind in the CLI menu, that automatically puts this into bind mode. So you can rebind the transmitter if that ever comes up, if that problem ever comes up. Also included in the box, you get a battery charger. Now, this has a lot of ports for this battery charger, and why would you have so many ports? Well, if you look, you also get this carrying case, which is very nice. But I got the Flymore model, which comes with 10 batteries to keep you in the air, okay? This Flymore model, the difference between this and the ready-to-fly version is you only get 2 batteries in the ready-to-fly version. In a Flymore model, you get 10 batteries to keep you in air. I would recommend this. This is $20 more to get this particular version. But these do come in handy to keep you flying, because I know you're going to only fly for a few minutes with those 2 batteries there, and you're going to go, gee, I wish I bought more batteries. And the reason they're shipping this Flymore model is these days it is very difficult to ship individual batteries from China because of safety restrictions on LiPo batteries. If you want these batteries, I recommend getting the Flymore model, getting them bundled already together, because this is the only way you're going to get them from China these days, supposedly. I don't know what the issue is. Well, I know what the issue is they're worried about fire as they're shipping them across the ocean. One other thing, this goes with, I'll talk about this when we get to the goggles. But let's see, we talked about the transmitter, and now I'm talking about the battery charger. This battery charger here is for charging LiPo batteries and also LIHV batteries. And all the batteries that you get with this are LIHV batteries. They're 3.8 volt, 4.35 max, LIHV batteries, or 4.35 nominal batteries that you get here. And you are going to want to switch these controllers to LIHV. And right now, LIHV is to the, hold on. Okay, you're going to want to switch, for charging these LIHV batteries, you're going to want to switch these bottom switches to the left. And that will charge these batteries up to for a LIHV battery charging voltage. So right now they were all switched to the right for LiPo batteries. So now there are LIHV. Now, very important, if you do ever want to charge this with a LiPo battery, a 4.2 volt nominal voltage LiPo battery, make sure to switch that back to the right, or you will damage your LiPo batteries. But if you're just you're always going to charge these LIHV batteries with this. Keep these switches to the left, and also keep these switches on the left side of the charging points down. Okay, that charges these at 0.2 milliamp per hour. Since these are 300 milliamp per hour, this will charge these at 200 milliamp per hour current. 200 milliamp current, which will prevent damaging these batteries. Up here, you can switch it up to 0.6, which is 600 milliamp per hour, but it's recommended when you charge to charge something close to the milliamp per hour rating of the battery. Again, these are rated at 300 milliamp per hour. So that's the charger. Oh, one other thing about the charger. You are going to need to provide your own charging power to this, to this particular controller, as it does not come with a power supply. You can use a battery via this XT60 connector, but then again, how many people out there actually have that are beginner flyers have these large style LiPo batteries to charge with this. You can also use, what I'm trying to say, folks, is a 12-volt charger. Here's the pin connector that you would plug that into, but you're going to need to provide your own 12-volt power supply to this. Most people do have this type of charger at home, you know, for charging nickel cadmium, well, not, what is it, nickel metal hydride batteries at home. They usually have that type of plug charger that they can plug into this power supply. So keep that in mind. You need to provide your own power supply to this charger. Now, the other things you get with this is, the big thing you get with this is the goggles. You get these Eachine VR005 goggles. Now, again, these are beginner grade goggles. They're not the best in the world, but they are usable. They do give you a good view through the screen, although it is somewhat small view. The switches on it are pretty self-explanatory, but the detail on that are provided in the instruction sheet that you get here. I didn't mention the instruction sheets. You get the instruction sheets for the drone, which covers everything here, including the transmitter, how to operate the transmitter, how to operate the goggles, how to operate the drone. Talks about changing, how binding the drone if you ever need to rebind the drone, how to set it up in beta flight, and if you ever need to attach the drone to beta flight, which I don't recommend. Again, if you're a beginner flyer, you don't really need to do that. This should be ready to go out of the box, and it is, more or less is. Other things you get in the box is a spare set of propellers. You get a screwdriver for adjusting your, mainly for adjusting your camera on your drone. You get a propeller puller in there. You get some spare screws. You get little battery pads to put on the bottom of your drone if you want to protect, separate, put a little more space between the drone and the bottom part of the battery holder, because these batteries do slip around inside there. And you get these. Now, what is this? This is a little pad that you would peel off and put on the bottom of your goggles here to help block out any light if there is any light coming in. Usually I don't put these on because the light really doesn't bother me, but some people it does bother, and that's what this pad is for, is to block out light. And finally, you get a little micro USB cable, and this is for charging the goggles, which are charged through a micro USB port right there, and a little red light comes on when it is charging off to the right there. This little pinhole lights up, and when it's fully charged, that light goes out. So that's how you charge it. So that is the Novice I and what you get with it. Should be pretty capable when we take it out in the field. Oh, finally. I keep forgetting to do this, but this is very important. Again, I mentioned this is 1S or 2S. What that means is we can fly with one battery or with two batteries in this other plug. But if you're flying with one battery, you are going to need to find this little pin plug here. Let me show this thing. This comes in the box, and this is very important. Don't lose this little plug. This plug enables you to fly with only one battery if you wish to fly with one battery. Now, why would you want to fly with one battery? Flying indoors, folks, you don't need a lot of oomph to take, when you're flying indoors. You don't want to go smashing into the ceiling, smashing into the ground, smashing into the ceiling, because when you're making throttle errors as you're learning to fly. That's why you would want to fly with one battery. The drone becomes a little more sluggish with one battery, but that when you're flying indoors, you want it to be somewhat sluggish because you got very narrow spaces to go through. You don't want it to be zippy and bounce around too much. So that's why you would fly with one battery instead of two. And again, to do such, you are going to need to short out one of your battery terminals, and you do that using this little pin, little plug that comes with this. So again, look for that. This comes in this package here. It's located in here when you get it. But again, I recommend either plugging in immediately or keeping it stored inside this pouch so you don't lose it, because you do not want to lose that little plug. So that's it. That is the Novice I. Let's take this out into the field and fly it. I'm going to fly it outdoors, folks. We're going to fly it 1S and 2S since I got so many batteries here, and fly it line of sight and also fly it FPV. So let's go see what it can do. Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here, and we are going to start off with line of sight flying of Novice I. Before we get started, I'm going to say hello to this guy. Coming over to see what I'm doing. Hi, what's your name? You're curious? Hi. There, smell? Okay. What's your name, boy? Yeah, I'm going to go flying. Okay. Well, he's going to go look around while I go flying. Okay, this is the Eachine Novice I. To start this up, Again, we're going to start off with line of sight flying, but to do that, I'm going to show you how to start it up. Now, notice I don't have that pin inserted here. No pin, but first, before we insert the pins into the batteries, we are going to turn on the transmitter. And to do such, you do a quick press of this button here. Whoops. And the transmitter is started. So, there we go. Got transmitter started. And then we get to plug in the batteries. So you do that with hobby grades. You need to turn on the transmitter first. Now this plug plugs into here. We can plug into either one of these plugs. It doesn't matter which battery goes to which plug. But for 2S flying, we got to plug both of these batteries in. There's one. And there's the second plug. So we are plugged in. And we're going to put it on the deck, or on the ground. Now, we are connected to the drone, but to arm the motors, to get the motor, right now the motors aren't going to work because we're not armed. And to arm the motors, we're going to press this left button up here one time till we see a light. Okay, so this is our arm switch in effect, this button here. So right now we should have motor power. Now, this automatically defaults to Acro mode. As a beginner pilot, especially flying in line of sight, you don't want to fly in Acro mode. You want to fly in stabilized mode. And to do such, we're going to press this button one time until we see a green light here. We can press the button one more time, and that will put this back into Acro mode, but Acro air mode, where the motors spin. But you don't want to fly in line of sight like that. But just showing you that we are in Acro mode. So going back to Acro, beginner mode, and air. But we want to start off in stabilized mode, also known as angle mode, for this line of sight flight. Okay, let's see how it flies. A lot of punch. See what I mean about having 2S batteries and not flying indoors, because you can't impact the ceiling very easily with 2S battery. But let's see how this flies. Wow. A lot of oomph. A lot of oomph. Now the controls. Let's talk about these controls. they are, you know, I'm not really used to sticks like this for flying. But you can't easily overcorrect with this. But let's try the punch on this. That's a punchy little bird, especially with 2S. A little 2S battery gives it a lot of punch. Let's show that again. And going way over there. Coming back over here. And then let go of the stick. Let it drift a bit. Let's fly it around. One off there, coming back this way. Very maneuverable, very fast, very punchy. Yeah, this is a good flyer. Punching it that way, bringing it back over. Turning it around, bringing it up close, and one more punch. Fast, fast little thing. For a whoop, this is a tiny whoop, but it's very, very fast, very punchy. Very similar to the Mobula. I'm surprised. Wonder what it flies like an Acro, though. We'll find out here shortly. Just bring it back over again. Okay, when we fly an Acro, I'm going to start off in, or actually FPV, when we fly an FPV, I'm going to start off with 1S, then we'll progress to 2S, and 1S will be flying stabilized mode, 2S will be flying Acro, to see what this flies like. So, okay, that's the demonstration of it, line of sight. This is a powerful little bird. I'm surprised. Very fast, very agile. So let's take it up and fly it in an Acro, or let's fly it FPV. See how it flies, folks. Hope you enjoy the second part of this flight. Okay, we're going to fly it right now using the Eachine VR005 goggles. I have already bound the quadcopter. We are starting, let me arm the motors, and we're going to start off in Acro mode. So let's see how it flies in Acro. Or actually not Acro, we're 1S battery, and we're flying stabilized with 1S battery to simulate flying indoors at home, okay? So let's put the goggles on, see how it looks first off. Goggles look relatively good. I got 4.6 volts because I've been messing around here getting this set up here.
I'm recording on my VRD, or my, I'm recording on my Viper goggles right now. So we are armed and in novice mode, or in stabilized mode. Let's take off into the air and see how it flies. So giving it throttle. Actually flying very nicely. On 1S. Very stable, very easy to fly. And it actually looks good on these goggles. The reception quality going down in the 30s, which isn't very good. But then again, this is supposed to be flown indoors mainly, this particular drone. But we are going to be flying shortly in Acro to see how it flies at Acro. But let's see, let's go down between the trees here. First off, see how it flies through the trees. Okay, coming around. Now 1S, this really is sucking the juice, flying this in 1S mode. Again, you're not a ton of power out of this, but able to fly like this. And hit things too, since that has, you know, protection of its propeller protection around its propellers. Coming through here, going through there. So very, very simple to fly in stabilized mode. And the battery's getting weak already. I'm going to start bringing it in here shortly. You know, oh no, we're still got some power, 3.2, 3.1, but it's getting lower. As soon as it gets down to around 3.0 volts, I got to land it immediately. So coming through here, more power, more power, more power. Coming in. Okay, I got to land it. Coming in, coming in, coming in, coming in. It doesn't want to fly much longer, so we'll put it there. Okay, let's put 2 batteries in and fly it in Acro mode. So hold on, folks. Okay, I'm going to hit this one more time. And actually, I want to go in air mode. We're going to fly in air mode because air mode you can do stunts usually. You can do stunts better than in Acro mode. Plain Acro without air. So that's 3 punches on that. And notice that the propellers are spinning right now. So putting my goggles on, adjusting them. Let's take it to the air and see how it flies in Acro. Lots of punch on this. Okay, let me get a feel for this. A little too far away. Better come down. But while we're coming down, let's try that. And that. See it air mode, you can do that. This is actually flying actually nicely for a whoop. Not super punchy. Coming down lower. Flying around here.
Turn off.
Turn it off. My wife's going to get that. Hold on, folks. Okay, I cleaned it off a bit. Also, we're going to fly a regular Acro this time without air mode. But I've raised the lens up so we can go higher speed this time, so that we can see the horizon at higher speeds. But let's see, I'm arming the motors now, and we are in regular Acro this time. So let's take it to the air and see how it flies. See, now I can tilt it a lot forward, get higher speed. Coming around, going up over that tree there because I didn't like the feel of it. I'm noticing the RSSI going down quite a bit when I go distant. It's not a long distance flyer, and the PIDs do need tuned in Acro. They're not the best PIDs right now, I can tell you. Either that or this controller is feeling kind of wonky. But give it more throttle here. I'm trying to come down through the trees here without hitting the trees. Coming around, more throttle. Going up and over. Trying again. That. So, you know, as an indoor flyer, yeah, it's great. Outdoors, I'm not so sure, folks. It feels, the PIDs do need a little bit of tuning. It's not a Mobula, let's put it that way. But then again, it is a beginner's drone. Meant more for beginners. The voltage is coming down a bit. Let's see how, if we got enough. Whoa, we do have enough to go over by the whatchamacallits, the light poles. Going up again. Let's try coming around, coming around, coming around, coming around. Going up and forward flip. And I better land it, folks. I'm below 3 or 6 volts. I'm going to land it close to us. Because I wouldn't want to destroy that battery. I went below 6 volts. So let's take the hat there and give you my final thoughts on this little thing. Indoor flyer, yeah. Outdoor flyer, yeah. It can fly outdoors. It's just that its PIDs do need some adjustment. They're not the smoothest, particularly with that controller. That controller, I don't know, you just don't have the fine tuning that you get with a finer controller. But then again, it's a beginner's controller. It flies very well, again, in stabilized mode. This would be an excellent FPV flyer for indoor flying or outdoor flying in stabilized mode. Acro mode needs some work, some adjustments to make it feel a little better out of the box. So, hope you enjoyed this flight of the Novice One. Again, meant for beginner FPV flights. This is more than appropriate for a beginner. So, hope you enjoyed this flight. It's Quadcopter 101, signing out.
Hi, Quadcopter 101 here again. Hey, if you want to get your own shout out in one of my future videos, make sure you subscribe to my channel. It's real simple. Just go to my channel page and click on that subscribe. And also make sure to click that bell button right next to the subscribe button. That way you get notified when I release a brand new video immediately and give you a chance to get that first shout out. So give it a try, folks.